So the Indiana Fever played today against the New York Liberty, and I have to say it was a not great game in general. I thought it was a tale of two halves, realistically. I made a video that I'll talk a little bit later that I'm going to leave it up because at the same time, like, I do think like the WNBA are trying to police fan reactions is the dumbest thing ever. Fans overreact to things. Fans talk about things in the heat of the moment. So calm down a little bit. I'm going to be talking about Caitlin Clark's game. My actual reaction video is coming out later, and I stand by everything I said. I don't know what the hell Stephanie White is doing, but I hope she's experimenting. And again, only time will tell. Only time will tell. Because for as good as she was in Indiana, she was equally as... Sorry, not in Indiana. In Connecticut, she was equally as bad at Vanderbilt. Like, for as good as she was in one of her coaching jobs, she was equally as bad in another one. So, it's one of those things where it's like, you can't just say she was good at Connecticut, so she's a good coach. Or not that she's a good coach, that she's the right coach. Because there's a difference between good coach and right coach. I'm not questioning her ability to be a good coach, whereas I did question Christy Side's ability to be a good coach. I questioned Christy Side's understanding of the sport of basketball. I'm not doing that for Stephanie White. However, what I will do is be very confused. And Caitlin Clark took over this game. Like, Caitlin Clark took over this game down the stretch. Like, if you look at the second half, yeah, she was really, really bad she was really good in the first quarter. She was really bad for the second quarter and half of the third quarter. And then she went 4 of 10 in the second half for 11 points. She only had 2 assists, but she had 8 assists in the first half. She had 6 assists in the first quarter. Like, Caitlin Clark was fantastic in the third quarter. And I actually thought in the fourth quarter, the problem was that they took the ball out of her hands. Like, this team does not function with the ball out of Caitlin Clark's hands. And that is, I'm going to talk about Caitlin Clark's game individually because a lot of the times, because I did not do that in my initial breakdown, which was about the refs. Caitlin Clark was absolutely fantastic in that third quarter. She was absolutely fantastic. She was fantastic down the stretch. Like, she was fantastic down the stretch. And a lot of people they're going to say what they want. They're going to be like, oh, Caitlin Clark scored 1 out of 4 points. She hit a game-tying shot. She got like foul stripped. And the problem is that I'm cool with them not calling the Natasha Cloud foul in the third quarter. Or sorry, not in the third quarter, if it's a tie game. If that is a game where you've basically if you've decided the game and you've sent it to OT, or rather than send it to OT, you don't call that foul. There is a big, big difference between calling that foul when you're down 2, when you've just called a phantom foul. You have just called a phantom foul on Lexi Hull. Lexi Hull did not foul Sabrina Ionescu. You have just missed a hack. 2 possessions to go. Caitlin Clark made an unbelievable read to Aaliyah Boston. Hit Aaliyah Boston. Aaliyah Boston gets fouled. Not a hack, but a foul. She got fouled. Then, whatever the New York Liberty miss, you get another chance. She has the ball in her hands. She makes another incredible play, another incredible possession with the ball in her hands, and gets the ball to Dewana Bonner, who gets hacked. There's not even an attempt to play on the ball. She gets hacked. It's not a foul. And a lot of people are like, oh, Caitlin turned the ball over. And it's like, how many times did the team turn the ball over? How many points did the other team have off turnovers? Like, box score watchers are the funniest people ever, because in the first quarter, I'm not joking, Caitlin turned the ball over 5 times in the first quarter. Caitlin was unbelievable in the first quarter. Offensively, she was unbelievable. The team scored 29 points. She was one assist off tying her record for most assists in a quarter. She was 1 assist off tying the record and turned the ball over a few times. She had, in the first 2 minutes of the game, she had 3 assists, 2 turnovers. So, like, the team, she literally went back-to-back-to-back possessions with 3 assists and then back-to-back turnovers that would have been assists if it wasn't for, passes that were an inch off and would have been assists otherwise. And I'm like, people want to just harp on the turnover numbers. Your box score watchers. There's good and bad turnovers. Like, the Indiana Fever had nearly twice as many points off turnovers as the Liberty did today. Nearly twice as many points off turnovers. And how many turnovers they have? As a team, Indiana only had 14 turnovers. Do you want to know what the easiest way, by the way, to not have turnovers is? It's to just shoot dumb shots. That's actually the easiest way. When you get into paint, shoot dumb shots. That's the easiest way to not have turnovers. Shoot dumb shots. But, like, 2 of Caitlin Clark's turnovers, I think she actually had 9 turnovers at the end of the day. I think she had 9 because they counted the last one as a missed shot. One of her turnovers was she was dribbling in the corner and Natasha Cloud just shoved her. Natasha Cloud walked up to her, no one anywhere near her, and just shoved her. But, like, what we saw in that third quarter is what Caitlin Clark can do. Caitlin Clark, the team's playing slow. The team's sluggish. They're in the game, but they're only in the game because the Liberty are stinking it up. That's the only reason that the Fever are in the game. Nothing to do with their play, all to do with the Liberty's play. And Aaliyah Boston, by the way. Let's not give credit to Aaliyah Boston. Aaliyah Boston was the best player on the floor for that whole game. Aaliyah Boston was not great in the fourth quarter, but again, she got fouled on at least 2 of those layups. Like, the worst player for the Fever today was Natasha Howard. And look, it just wasn't a game for her. There are teams that are in Natasha Howard games. There are teams that are in the Tawana Bonner games. That was not a game for Natasha Howard. But it's funny, people are like, oh, Caitlin Clark had 18 points, 10 assists, and was a plus-minus of +6. The team, when Caitlin Clark is off the floor, does not function. They don't function. And ironically, the better you have to ride with Caitlin. If this team's going to play well, they have to start. It starts and ends with Caitlin Clark. And as much as people are like, oh, she's playing bad, these other players, you kind of have to just bet on Caitlin Clark playing well. And the team still has potential to do okay without Caitlin. They have the ability to be fine in specific games. But, like, at least they made the right decisions down the stretch, putting the ball in Caitlin's hands. Because if it wasn't for the referees, and we heard it from Stephanie White calling the referees calling it the way the team are being officiated. Like, Stephanie White literally came out after the first Atlanta game and is like, the referees are basically the referees, they're just allowing people to shove us. And then all of a sudden we're seeing this game end on 3 phantom fouls or 4 bad calls in a row against the Indiana Fever in the last minute of the game. Like, one, fair enough. And by the way, the Natasha Cloud one at the end, if they hadn't just called some BS, I'm okay with them not calling that. But they just called some BS to possession before. And if you're going to call some BS, you have to call the same BS both ways. The Natasha Cloud one, as much as there was a foul and then it was clean, but physical basketball can excuse that missed call. But, like, that is a lot more of a foul than the foul that won them the game with Sabrina Ionescu. And look, when Caitlin Clark takes over, this Fever team can be elite. When Caitlin Clark does not take over, this Fever team can be bad. And the problem is that the ball's just not in her hands. The ball's just not in her hands. Like, we're watching Caitlin go 4, 5, 6 minutes in a row with 4, 5, 6 possessions in a row without touching the ball. The team has a really big issue. And by the way, Caitlin Clark has this issue as well. The team does not reverse the ball. Ever. They don't reverse the ball ever. And, like, it's one thing if you don't reverse the ball and you have somebody running the pick and roll who can actually make decisions and get players open and can hit players on cuts, which Aaliyah Boston does pretty well as well. But, like, if the 2 players that are good, that make really good reads and make really good reads often are the 2 players that are standing on the weak side and being ignored because of the non-reversals, like, it doesn't make any sense. But anyway, yeah, that's the video. Breaking down Caitlin Clark's individual game. Look, Caitlin Clark was playing terribly. She got a crazy reverse layup because she wanted to run the floor and no one else ran with her. Then she went and hit an and 1-3 and hit a huge 3 to end the third quarter to make it a 6-point game. And then came out at the start of the fourth quarter and, like, got an assist. And then late down the stretch, the most important possession in the game, they're down 2. Caitlin Clark calls her own number and takes it on. Like, this was a bad game by Caitlin Clark standard. This was a bad game by MVP standards. But she was better than Stewie. She was better than Sabrina. I mean that. She was better than Stewie and she was better than Sabrina. She was not better than Tash Cloud. She was not better than Aaliyah Boston. She was better than Stewie and she was better than Sabrina Ionescu. Jonquel Jones was the best player on the floor. But of the quote-unquote MVP candidates, she was the best on the floor, unless you consider Jonquel Jones an MVP candidate. And Aaliyah Boston is almost certainly going to win MIP. Like, Aaliyah Boston she's going to average, like, she's averaging 15 points per game, and that's after one terrible game. She's probably going to go and win MIP. So anyway, yeah, that's the video. I'll see you guys.